original brief was to take the brand personality of Deutsche Bank and interpret it in a creative, visual, graphic manner, and deliver it using this new piece of technology that we've decided to put into the lobby of their new headquarters building here in ICC in Hong Kong.
The original concept was really to be able to produce something for our clients. When they come into the space, to bring brand and art and the various different types of things into the client area. We moved it down into the Sky Lobby, really to open up this particular space and for all of the staff to see it. So it's a tremendous opportunity for us to put leading edge art and brand on a wall for all of our clients and staff.
Deutsche Bank has a very extensive collection of work that ranges right across the visual arts. There's a particular focus on collecting young, emerging artists, and that's a real commitment in every market in which we conduct our business. Well, it was a very open brief. It was probably more art than brand. Management were looking for something that was very engaging, a real showcase of the bank's commitment to innovation.
I looked worldwide at graphic designers and artists that were doing particularly strong, exciting work that was winning awards, and finally settled on Matt Pike at Universal Everything.
Universal Everything is a studio that I founded in 2004. It's based here in Sheffield, but we work with a network of people around the world. We work in sound design, code, animation, filmmaking.
Universal Everything is a studio that's really at the crossroads between art and design. We create works for digital screens essentially. That could be LEDs or TV screens and even mobile devices.
Matt came to the fore quite early on in the selection process. We spoke to everybody, but he grasped the brief very quickly.
It was very much in context of the architecture of the ICC in Hong Kong, their head office, and it was very much about expressing the key values of Deutsche Bank in a very emotive, minimalist, abstract way. I love the Deutsche Bank logo and I always have, so that was a really good starting point. It was a major attraction to the project in the first place, that we actually got a really beautiful brand to work with.
Matt has at his fingertips a team of graphic designers and creators and audio designers, and we had the very talented team that wrote the code for it from Field, Marcus and Vera.
Well, we're collaborating with Universal Everything on a creative basis, and we're also doing a big part of the production work. So actually designing the animations, programming the software that runs the entire system, and yeah, getting it all done.
I actually had multiple roles, jumping between being an animator, designer, programmer, working closely together with Matt, the art director, and the content team and programs who work with us. So a lot of switching back and forth and keeping an overview still.
I am traditionally trained as a graphic designer and an animator, and now we work in a variety of fields, all with a bias towards very expressive artistic design projects. So from that point of view, it really led to some really nice results because of the brand at the epicenter of it all.
The artworks are all created using generative art. We basically have provided a number of different artworks which use a code-based solution.
Where you, instead of targeting the end product, you are actually just setting up an experiment which on every iteration can have a different result.
The most challenging aspect was the ambition we all had, along with the architects and the client, of the scale of the video wall. Originally it started off at a fairly small scale, and we worked to develop the format of the video wall to a very, very wide screen. I think it's 8:1 ratio screen, which runs the entire length of the entrance to the building.
In the first place, I think the scale of the project is really unique. We've been working with generative animation before, but getting it to work on 8 computers synchronized on a screen of 12 meters length is quite a challenge. We have a total resolution of 14,400 pixels, and to generate an animation in real time on that scale is quite a unique thing.
Innovation is incredibly important. Our trading platforms use innovation, to give our clients access to the markets around the world. Our DMA technology is at the leading edge as well. So, a big part of what Deutsche Bank does is innovation.
Resolution was very, very high, which no current computer can handle, so we were sort of really ahead of our time. So we ended up having to have 8 network computers to run the artwork beautifully crisp across that resolution, so it really is a first of its kind for that scale of video artwork.
The challenges for me as a photographer were first of all to find images that suited the brand brief, and that was precision nature. So for example here there's a bamboo forest which is very precise. Bamboo forests are very precise when you see them in reality. The same as a desert. The desert almost looks like precision nature when the wind forms the beautiful sand dune shapes that we see and we're so familiar with. A lot of these places we had to make sure that they didn't look like it was a repetition of the same country. So consequently we wanted a vast array of different looks and different feels. That's why I've chosen deserts and jungles and mountains and snowscapes, just to give it a complete variety of however we look at it, it's still precision nature at the end of the day, whether it's man-made or whether it's natural. I went to China, Australia, Malaysia, Libya, and then I had to make sure that the images were able to stand a massive glare. That was a technical challenge in itself. Every image I had to go through with a fine tooth comb and make sure there were no blemishes in it, no things in there that would disturb the audience when they looked at it, make sure everything was blended seamlessly, and also make sure that the resolution was up to the kind of scale that we're talking about.
I think any of the pieces that involve creating these environments that Marcus and Vera have designed, those are wonderful in the sense that there's an amazing amount of logic that goes into it.
My personal favourite out of the artworks we made was Strength, because I think it had the purest, simplistic, emotive concept out of all of them. The way that we used fluid dynamic simulation in a very kind of straightforward, minimalist way to show the resilience of the Deutsche Bank brand by having the waves simulated of the air crashing against the logo, and it was just a very simple, metaphorical approach.
It's based on a very advanced physics simulation system. It's completely dynamic, none of it is pre-produced. It's really a simulation of real forces in a 3-dimensional virtual space.
We've worked with physics simulations before, but we've never gotten into this point where we had so many interacting particles, so many forces, and it never on this precision level.
Tweaking all the values and the behaviors to get to a nice and smooth animation was quite challenging.
And that's all happening live, on the fly, it's generative, never to be seen again, never been seen before, so that's pretty amazing.
in contrast to the simplicity of the visuals, there was a mass of complex calculations going on underneath the surface to calculate real-time fluid dynamics and turbulences and vortexes, which in a way captures really what the bank is all about.
I don't have any particular favourites. I think they're all absolutely incredible, and that's universally the response. I mean, people are completely gobsmacked at the range that's presented.
I think it's the city builder because it has a conceptual, really nice approach. We started from looking at maps, Google Maps, views of Paris and New York, and we've deduced rules from that, which generate street maps and cartography for the different cities. And from that on, we created different, almost entire landscapes and worlds. Coding requires you to be very strict and formal about things, and creativity wants exactly the opposite. So you have to sometimes follow your left and sometimes follow your right half of the brain.
My favourite piece, I think it's City Lights. I love the way that it builds. It's incredibly creative in the particular space here. You know, it's just never ending.
The pure number crunching behind that piece is quite phenomenal, but the actual results and the nature and the kind of natural elements within it are really quite stunning to watch. And I guess that is a purely on-brand piece, so I really think we've delivered to the client on this one.
You know, to me, that's my best piece. It has been from the beginning. I've watched it evolve from very, very early concepts, and it looks absolutely spectacular. And the fact that it just keeps generating and recreating is incredibly dynamic. Besides from being, you know, a brand and our intervention, we're going to use this video conferencing, town halls in the space, connecting us between, you know, here in Hong Kong and our offices around the world for broadcasting and media.
It's difficult to have a favourite actually when you've been so close to it for such a long time. It's a little bit like choosing your favourite child. But I think the ones that actually look the least computer generated excite me because it's a nice counterpoint to all the technology that we're using. So for example, the global local, where it's actually Matt's hand as an artist drawing the image, but it's being reinterpreted by the computers behind the scenes. I love that because you get that great contrast between the technology and the human being.
Hi.
Phil?
Funny, like Deutsche Bank ad, almost. It's just about this media wall in Hong Kong, and it's just like the CEO is talking about the brand and how the artwork serves the brand.
I looked worldwide at graphic designers and artists that were doing particularly strong, exciting work that was winning awards, and finally settled on Matt Pike at Universal Everything.
Universal Everything is a studio that I founded in 2004. It's based here in Sheffield, but we work with a network of people around the world who work in sound design, code, animation, filmmaking.
Is that your fan?
Universal Everything is a studio that's really at the crossroads between art and design.
Is this Elaine's friend?
Works for
No.
digital screen essentially.
Because he has some kind of universal something.
Mobile devices.
Matt came to the fore quite early on in the selection process. We spoke to everybody, but he got
It's like
grasped the
really
brief very
run
quickly.
down Adam.
It was very much in context
Corporate
with the
Adam.
architecture of the ICC in Hong Kong, their head office, and it was very much about expressing the key values of Deutsche Bank in a very innovative, minimalist, abstract way. I love the Deutsche Bank logo and I always have, so that was a really good starting point. It was
How's your day?
attraction to the project in the first place. That we actually got a really beautiful brand to work with.
Good.
Matt has at his fingertips a team
Yeah.
of graphic designers and creators and audio designers, and we had the very talented team that wrote the code for it from Field, Marcus and Vera.
Well, we're collaborating with Universal Everything on a creative basis, and we're also doing a big part of the production work. So actually designing the animations, programming the software that runs the entire system, and yeah, getting it all done.
You're making a video? Yeah.
I actually have multiple roles, jumping between being an animator, designer, programmer, working closely together with Matt, the art director, and the content team and programs who
What
work
do you
with us.
want to do?
So a lot of switching back and forth and
Take a
giving
break?
an overview still.
Hmm?
I am traditionally trained as a graphic designer.
Why they want to program
and,
this kind of
an
stuff?
animator. Now I work in creative fields, all with a bias towards very expressive, artistic design projects. So from that point of view, it really led to some really nice results because of the brand and the epicenter of it all.
I think that this video itself is fine. I don't need to show this video. This video itself is just so ridiculous.
The artworks are
You're
all created
taping
using
this,
generative art.
making
We
video of this.
basically
Yeah.
have provided a number of different artworks which use a code-based solution.
Where you, instead of targeting the end product, you are actually just setting up an experiment which on every iteration can have a different result.
The most challenging aspect was the ambition we all had, along with the architects and the client, the scale of the video wall. Originally it started off at a fairly small
Naniするの?
scale, and we worked to develop
Okay.
the format of the video wall to a very, very wide screen. I think it's 8:1 ratio
Do you want to
screen,
talk at all about your
which runs the entire
stuff?
length of the entrance to the building.
It seems like you want to communicate.
In the first place, I think the scale of the project is really unique.
Huh?
We've been working with generative animation
Let me know.
before, but getting it to work on 8 computers synchronized on a screen of 12 meters length is quite a challenge. We have a total resolution of 14,400 pixels, and to generate an animation in real time on that scale is quite a unique thing.